is this template, this is your own engine, or is this a Google Doc?
So this is a Google Doc.
Okay.
DocsAutomator has no own engine. It's all Google Docs based, Word based, or PDF based. So you can overlay a PDF. But this is a Google Doc. But actually, Google Doc there was generated in preparation for this show, generated with DocsAutomator's agent. We can look at that in the second example, sort of, and see how that works out. Which sort of also goes to your question a bit, like how are things changing with AI? I think that things are changing a lot, and basically everything is changing in a way. But yeah, this has been generated with DocsAutomator, with DocsAutomator's built-in agent in the platform. Yeah.
Cool.
So this is basically how data is then mapped. So we'd already select the base, the table, and then it's all about taking these placeholders that you see here in the template and mapping them to the corresponding fields in Airtable. So if we go into Airtable, we have this base here where I'm sending out these quotes. And then, of course, we find all our data in those fields that can then be mapped to the placeholders that we've defined before. What's cool now with AI is actually we can reverse that logic, because often it starts really with the data structure. Often it starts with, I have built my base, I've built out Airtable, so I have my fields there already. And then it was always this kind of tedious process of going into Google Doc and checking, okay, what do I need on here? What kind of fields do I have? And adding them one by one. But now actually you can take the AI agent, and the agent will look at the fields and then just generate the template based on the fields that you already have in Airtable, which is kind of really reversing that process basically of how you get to the template. We have mapped sort of the main fields, and then for the line items part, we have a linked field on here called quote lines, and then the field mapping there reaches into that related table basically, and we basically map the fields then from that related table to the placeholders inside of the line items table. Yeah. When we're happy with this, we can generate previews. We have we can generate previews via the preview button. Select a record. We only have 3 records here in the base that we have here, and then that previews generate. Usually, request time for Google Docs is 8 to 10 seconds, around that number. Unless there are hundreds of line items, then it's going to be a bit longer. But then this is sort of generated. You can also expand this here, like it doesn't always look that clean at first try. So I had done some work on it before this show, to be honest. Like the formatting of the numbers, for instance, had to be changed in Airtable a bit. I had to change the template a bit here and there. Let's see how the AI agent does in the second example when we generate that. Sort of it's a journey to get a really like nicely working AI product, to be honest. But I think this looks pretty clean now. So if we're happy with this, so if you're generating previews, you always get these like this watermark on here, and then also this footer where it has DocsAutomator's logo on it. Mm-hmm. When we set this to active, and this is also the moment where you need a subscription for DocsAutomator. So everything we've seen so far, you can do in test mode, and you can just test basically as long as you need, until you're happy with how it comes out. Well, once you turn this to active, you will need a subscription, but then also the watermarks disappear basically from the documents when we now generate them from Airtable, which we set up now. Let's actually go into interfaces for that, because I had created a button here already, which isn't fully set up. I want to use this button here. I want to create a new automation, generate PDF. Let's actually call it generate quote. And then one way, there are a few ways to do this, but one way is to use a script inside of Airtable automations. So So we say trigger from Airtable, and then we click on script, and we can just copy this script here. We add it in, and we need to pass the record ID from the left. We have recently added now auto create, which is based on Airtable webhooks,
Saw that,
which is works really well because it's so nicely implemented in Airtable, and it's so, because I have the comparison to Notion, for instance. Like, I don't want to shame any platforms, but Notion also is a great platform, but it takes about a minute to get notified by Notion. Airtable takes about a second to be notified via the webhook. So it's pretty instantaneous. So I'm just going to show this here, like, because this has been always the way to do it, and gives you a lot of flexibility inside of Airtable automation. It still does. Like, you could, this is now on a button click, but of course this could be based on any trigger. You can basically generate a document, and you can use the full, like all the triggers that are basically available in Airtable automations, of which there are a lot. But there's also now this really easy way of auto-generating and auto-creating without basically setting up anything in Airtable. I'd say we do that in the second use case based on a certain condition. We have to turn this on. And what we want is, this is called signed PDF, but actually it's just PDF. We want the document when it's created. So I can initiate document creation from here now, but we also want it to be stored in Airtable. That's an action where we say save PDF to Airtable attachment field. And yeah, it's still called signed PDF, that field, but we keep it that way for now. And now if everything's set up properly, then we can generate this, and we should see that again after those 8, 9, 10 seconds, we should see the document without watermarks appearing here in the PDF field. There we go. So now we can open it, and looks nice and clean. And we could take it now from here and send it off. We can email it via Airtable, or DocsAutomator also has sending emails built in. So you can send via DocsAutomator's infrastructure, email infrastructure, or you can also send via Gmail or Outlook. So you can also use that. While we're here, a few more actions after document generation, basically. So all of these actions run after the document is already generated. The PDF URL itself can be stored to Airtable. You can keep the Google Doc, which is a powerful feature if you want to keep editing the document. So you're not necessarily interested in the PDF that comes out, but you're interested in the dynamically written Google Doc to edit it further, because you maybe you have a certain paragraph in it that needs to be edited manually or so. You can save the PDF to Google Drive. You can automate saving it in DocsAutomator's documents folder. So I'm pushing a bit to use DocsAutomator more as a system of record, which sort of came when when I launched the e-signing suite. Suddenly there is a lot of interesting data in DocsAutomator. So this is sort of now part of it as well. And a feature that's used often is merging existing PDFs. So maybe you have some sheet, some type of sheet you always want to add to your generate documents, then you can do that here as well. Those are sort of the DocsAutomator is really, like, as I said before, a targeted automation platform for document automation. So these are sort of the most useful actions that I see, where I know you would have a platform like Zapier or Make.com or NNN or so, where you could basically choose from anything. Basically, you stitch together anything. Basically, DocsAutomator has added the most requested actions kind of that run after document generation.
Yeah. And if you want to do more, you could send to a webhook into Zapier and do more there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Or like we'll see that with e-signing as well, like in e-signing flows as well, as like always some system needs to be notified that a document got signed. So that's then happening via the webhook notification as well.
Yeah.
That was kind of the first use case, end to end.
Yeah.
Generating these quotes from this base.
having built, the functionality to like update Google, I know like the API is not easy to work with Google Docs. And having a little bit of experience with Microsoft, I can't imagine the Microsoft integration being much easier. So what you've done here is actually very, very hard to do. So I commend you for it.
Yeah, it's also a few thousand iterations, I'd say. You asked about AI development before, right? And it's of course you can vibe code something like DocsAutomator now, but vibe coding a Google Docs integration is like not at first try, right? It's not possible at the moment. Basically, all the edge cases and everything that could potentially happen are not documented well enough for any AI to pick up on it.
Yeah.
So it would take still lots and lots of iterations, basically, to get to it. And doing it Google Docs based has been a blessing and a curse throughout the entire. I think you know this as well, right? Like it's sort of it's so convenient, but it's also such a pain to work with the API and just adhere to this index based to this index, which basically is recalculated all the time.
Yeah.
It's in the design, it's a genius in a way. How it is designed is amazing, but reading a Google Doc does not have the same structure as writing a Google Doc, which is such a flaw in the entire design of the thing, because otherwise you could just so easily take something and just basically like replicate from what you took. And yeah, it's infinitely harder if sort of those two things are not the same. It also took quite a while to get to a point where I had like a testing harness that was good enough to feel really comfortable about making changes to the platform, right? Because you can have something working, you can have something that sort of works at some point, and then it is what it is. But then when you want to make changes to it, like a big early change was, for instance, grouping, because in like all Airtable users were seeing grouping in Airtable tables, and then they wanted to see that in line items as well. So I was adding that in, and then it was changing. Like I had to make so many changes to the nature of how line items worked, etc. This was pre-AI, pre-AI, or basically when you were copy pasting from ChatGPT quite a lot still, but ChatGPT also wasn't that good in writing code at that time, right? At this, like now we have a testing harness that's like really, or the testing harness that I work with is really nice, because now I feel really comfortable when I make changes to the platform that whatever is rendering in a certain way is not going to change, basically.
Right. Very true. Cool. So go give us an overview of the different platforms that you support and different formats.
Basically, the easiest way to see this is now let's go into this one. And if we go on, let me remove this here. If this would work, it doesn't. I actually don't know why right now. Let me create a new.
Okay, so Google Docs, Word, and PDF for the formats.
Exactly. Yep. So if we, there we go. I think it's when it changed that it's blocked right now. Google Docs, Word, PDF for templates, and then you see here sort of all the platforms that DocsAutomator integrates with. So you see those on top here. Those are sort of natively integrated in the sense that the mapping of data happens inside of DocsAutomator.
Right.
So Airtable, of course, we've seen Google Sheets, Google Forms, Notion, SmartSuite, and ClickUp. So all of these platforms are end-to-end integrated, basically. And then these here, DocsAutomator has an app basically, or is integrated in the platform. So in software, for instance, in software workflows, DocsAutomator has an action in software workflows, but the mapping happens inside of software. So software kind of, you give your DocsAutomator API key, and then automations are pulled. And then also based on the template linked on that automation, the placeholders are pulled from that template, and then you sort of link the data in the software workflows. Glide, pretty much the same thing. Noloco, same thing. So these are the platforms right now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Since this is an Airtable show, like sort of the Airtable is always like, Airtable definitely always has all the features that DocsAutomator has. The other platforms don't always have all the features in all their depth at all times, basically. So I'm trying to reach sort of feature parity between all of them, but Airtable definitely always gets sort of